I like to eat, eat, eat.
Welcome to the
Apples and
Nutrition Daddy
bananas.
broadcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mitch Kahn, and we have a lot of stuff to cover today. Very, very important things to cover that are huge issues in health today. In fact, they're the number one issue in my practice, and I will say the number one issue in this country today with adults. And what am I referring to? I am referring to digestive issues, stomach issues. It is not only an epidemic, I'd say it's a pandemic. I'd say on educated guess, 80 to 90% of adults in this country have this issue or issues in this area, if not more. I can almost be assured almost every patient that walks through that door has some kind of issue with their digestion. And the problem here is this can cause so many types of symptoms. I mean, you can't even narrow it down like, oh yeah, that person must have stomach issues. Some symptoms, yes, and we'll cover some of those, but it can cause all kinds of problems in the body when you don't digest your food properly, and we're going to get into that right now. So we're going to break this down into two parts, these videos today. We're going to break it down part one, which is going to cover the enzyme side of the spectrum, and then part two, which is going to cover the stomach and hydrochloric acid end, because we have a lot to cover and they're related yet they're slightly different. So let's start. So in enzymes, there are four basic kinds of enzymes in the human body that help us with digestion. They're amylase, protease, lipase, and lactase. So let's cover a little bit of what each does. So amylase helps break down carbohydrates. Protease helps break down proteins. Lipase, very important to a lot of us, including you in the audience, helps break down fat. So if you're having trouble losing weight and you don't seem to be able to get it to work, just make sure that there's enough enzymes, lipase, in your diet, because that is what breaks down fat, both in your food that you eat and in your body as well. In other words, it'll take the fat stores and it will help digest them to make energy out of it. And you want that if you're trying to lose weight. It's very important. And lactase helps break down the protein in milk. So a lot of these lactase type milks that you see in the store, they actually add this enzyme to help people who are sensitive to this protein. And for some people it works and for some it doesn't. So those are the four enzymes in the body in general that we're going to discuss here. And when I'm talking enzymes, that's what I'm talking about. Okay? So why is this such a big problem? Why do so many people, this isn't something that's been around forever, like people always had a problem with this. Well, I'll tell you why. We live in a world now that has so many chemicals. The foods we're eating in this country especially are so adulterated. They're so altered from their original makeup. You know, then we have GMOs, which are genetically modified foods, which have also been completely altered. Those are big issues. Another big issue, we cook things to death in this country now. We're paranoid. We're like germaphobes about, oh my gosh, there might be something on the food. Let's make sure it's so cooked, so dead that, we make sure nothing's alive in it. To some degree that's okay, but to the extreme, it's not. So we basically have two extremes here that we're going to discuss. One extreme is, let's cook everything to death, make sure it's, it's baked and broiled and zapped, and, we're even talking about radiating the food, which is beyond my comprehension, but it's been out there. So that's one extreme. And then we have the other extreme, which is those people who think everything should be raw. The best way to eat is raw. Everything should be raw. All right? So, whatever the food is, let's eat it in its most natural state, which is good in theory, and for some people it actually may work. But in my opinion, both of these are extremes. We want to find some place near the middle here, middle ground. And what I suggest, and what's worked for me and my patients as well, is try to do the 50-50 rule. Try to get about 50% of your food raw and about 50% cooked. Now, what's wrong with all raw? Well, the problem with eating everything raw is that there's some foods that you can't eat raw, you can't digest it, you can't use it. For example, grains. Like, imagine trying to eat rice in its raw form, not cooked. It's a waste of time. It's going to irritate you and you're not going to get anything out of it. Your body was not designed to eat certain foods raw. Another area, beans. You definitely do not want to try to eat beans in their raw state. Not a good idea for many reasons. So there are certain foods that really need to be cooked. I mean, it's not a matter of, do you want to? You can't really eat them without cooking them. So here we are in the 50-50 area. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, my suggestion is if you're going to go over, I would eat more raw food than cooked foods, okay? Another area, and it's a pet peeve of mine, why we're having so many problems with enzymes in this country, all right? The microwave. From years ago when it was invented, to me I always had some little issue with it. Like, it just didn't like the idea of the microwave. And to me, I understand now. When you actually throw some food in a microwave, it's dead. Everything in it is dead. You just zapped it, and there's nothing alive in it anymore in that food. So that's my suggestion is try not to do that. I know we live in a fast-paced world. Everyone wants everything fast. It's got to be right away. We got to run, and you can heat up your food in 30 seconds or a minute, and it's great, but unfortunately, we're all paying the price with our health. You don't want to eat dead foods like this, not like we're doing in this country. It's causing an epidemic of diabetes and many other issues that we're dealing with. Now, let me explain a little more about enzymes. By the way, enzymes are actually a protein. They're a catalyst. What that means is they help speed up digestion. That's how they work, and that's what they do. And without them, your body's struggling trying to get this food digestion. And it's just such a hard thing for it to do when everything you're eating has no enzymes in it. Because when you're born, you basically have a certain amount of enzymes in your body. And the pancreas makes more enzymes. But if you keep straining the pancreas over and over again for years and years, it gets worn out, it gets tired, it gets inflamed. It poops out and you end up with diabetes, cancer, all kinds of issues. Am I saying that this is the only cause of those diseases? No. But it is a big issue, and it's definitely up there as far as what's causing the health issues in our country. So you want to make sure that you start eating more foods with enzymes that are actually raw foods, or I also like to say natural foods made by Mother Nature, not modified by man. So some of the symptoms of not having enough enzymes, there's a huge myriad of symptoms. There's so many things that you can be suffering with, but the more common ones: indigestion, bloating, your stomach gets big, you feel like you're tired, you're fatigued, you get bad breath, you're belching, it's coming out of both, if you come out of either end, there's a lot of symptoms. And there's other things as well, like allergies, food sensitivities, and that can cause a huge number of symptoms. If you have sensitivities to food or food allergies, you just open up Pandora's box. It's like an explosion of symptoms that you can be suffering from. Anything from skin issues to breakouts and rashes to headaches to all kinds of issues, which we'll get to in other videos, because allergies are a very, very big subject and getting worse today. Also, one of the causes of that is also because we are so lacking in enzymes and other digestive juices, which we're going to cover in part 2. So what we can do to help to our body so it's not so stressed in the digestive area. All right, number 1, as I already said, eat more raw foods. The more the better, okay? You want to get more closer to nature, the way we were supposed to eat. Get away from all the fast food, the quick stuff, the modified foods, as I've already mentioned. Number 2, start juicing. Juicing is phenomenal for your health, and there's just huge amounts of enzymes in juice, and it just helps to replenish your body with these enzymes and helps it break down the food and clean you out. Very, very, very good stuff, and you've probably already heard about juicing and you've seen books and stuff. Take that route. Number 3 is using supplements, which of course we use in our office. We have very good supplements. You can get some in health food stores. Just make sure that they're quality supplements for, with enzymes. There's, as I've said in other videos, there's a lot of bad types of supplements out there. Try to get something reputable, something you know is good. And if you're not sure or you have any questions, you can always email me at drmitchk@gmail.com or call my office, which I think the number should be right down here, and give me your questions. We're going to move on to part 2, which is going to cover the other half of the digestive issue, and I'll see you then. I hope you learned something, and let me know what you think of the video. Have a good day. Bye.
I like to eat apples and bananas. I like to eat apples and bananas. I like to eat apples and bananas.